Welcome to Disability Access in Action, brought to you by the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission. I'm Colleen Flanagan, the Outreach and Engagement Specialist for the City of Boston Disability Commission, and I'm thrilled to introduce today's show to you. On today's episode, you will be learning all about agestrong. agestrong is a City of Boston department that facilitates programs, resources, and connections so that Boston's older adults can age strong, friendly, in place, and in an accessible and inclusive city. On today's episode, our Disability Commissioner and ADA Title II Coordinator, Kristen McCosh, will be interviewing the city's Age Strong Commissioner, Emily Shea, and they're going to talk about what the city is doing right now to make sure that Boston's older adults can age in place safely and with dignity. So without further ado, please take it away, Commissioner McCosh.
Thank you, and welcome to today's episode of Disability Access in Action. Joining me today is Commissioner Emily Shea from the City of Boston Age Strong Department. I've worked with Emily for quite a while. We both came in under Mayor Menino, so I know a lot about what she does. But Emily, can you tell us a little bit about your department and what you do and a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much, Commissioner McCosh. I am so excited to be here today. Like you said, I lead our Age Strong Commission at the city, which is the city department that works with older people. And actually, as you know, there are many departments touching older people across the city, but we're really kind of the department that has that as our real sole focus. I have been with Age Strong for 15 years. And have had really the pleasure of working in the aging space for my whole career, starting when I was 18 years old, working in an adult day health program, all the way over the course of the last 30-something years. So this is my passion area. We are all aging, and I just think it's so important that we do what we can as a city to make sure that we all can live and age well.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Yes, we always talk about, when we talk about access for people, we always say access for people of all ages and abilities, because we know that we are all aging, and a lot of times as you age, you do acquire disabilities. So that's really important to remember. So I know your office is now Age Strong, but when you started 15 years ago, it used to be called the Elderly Commission. I know it was rebranded a few years. And can you talk a little bit about the change in title, and are people used to the title now?
Sure. I can't believe actually how long it's been. I just was thinking about it, and it's actually been eight years since we changed our name, which is just incredible. I know I've told you this story, but we actually asked our older residents. We did a whole survey. We put all these words down on paper, and we said, which of these words describe yourselves? And they said to us strong, and they said to us experienced. And so that's why we worked strong into our new name, Age Strong. And we use the word experience in some of our collateral materials. And if you see our vans driving around our Age Strong shuttle, it says driving Boston's most experienced people on the side of it. And that really is directly from our older residents. And I think that has helped so much. I think that when you're talking about older people, sometimes we used to hear, oh, elderly. Well, that's my mother, right? Because if you're talking about folks from age 55 to age 110, it really is three generations of people with a lot of diversity in it. And we really want to make sure that our name, that everyone can see themselves in our name. And we know that people age strong in so many different ways in our city. And so that's why we went with that name.
Great, thank you. So on that note, can you tell us a little bit about what your department does? Obviously, it serves older residents, but is there a specific age of people who qualify, or does it depend on different programs? Like you said, the age gamut for older people now is 55 to over 100. So,
Yeah.
who would you serve? What residents?
Sure, sure. I mean, I think anyone age 55 and older can come to us, and we actually serve a lot of caregivers and care partners as well. So we do work with some younger family members who are caring for older people. What I would say is that we help people access a lot of different programs and resources. And some of those programs and resources, which aren't necessarily run by our department, we're just kind of helping people navigate them. All of those do have different ages, right? If you think about it, senior housing is usually 62 years old. Medicare is 65 or younger and disabled. There are kind of these Older Americans Act programs or state aging services are 60 and over. Our volunteer programs, our AmeriCorps seniors volunteer programs are 55 and older. So I think the basic message is that please feel free to reach out to us, and we will try and help you navigate to the resources and programs that best support you, and that you can access.
So we know that seniors are facing a lot of stresses today. Can you tell us about what your department focuses on? Like, what are the priorities of seniors as you hear it, and what focus areas do you work on?
Sure. We do a lot of different things, but we do have a few areas that are kind of large focus areas for us that a bunch of our different programs touch. So one is economic security. We know that it can be really hard to make ends meet in Boston and really anywhere, right? It's not easy when you're paying for heat and you're paying for food and you're paying for medications and kind of all your housing expenses, kind of all of those things together. And so we do a lot of work trying to help people navigate systems and get connected to resources to help them make sure that they can kind of maximize their budgets here in Boston and meet their basic needs. We also really focus on social connection. We know that being socially isolated has the same health impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And so we do a lot around making sure that people have opportunities for connection. So whether that's through our events and programs and senior centers or some of our grant making that we're doing in the community, we really want to make sure that there's opportunities, no matter who you are, no matter what neighborhood you live in, that there's opportunities for you to connect. And then the third thing I would say is this concept of access to information and resources. I actually think that access to information, I feel like it's like the world's biggest puzzle, right? And people hear information in all different ways. So some are online, some are not online. Folks in Boston speak all different languages. They're connected to all different groups. They live in all different places. And so we really want to make sure that no matter who you are, that you have access to the information and resources that give you the best quality of life possible.
That's a lot, but those are really important areas to focus on, like you said, because they would have so many positive benefits on our older adults.
Yeah.
And is it true that agestrong also serves as Boston's Council on Aging? I'd love to hear more about what that means.
Sure. So we are Boston's Council on Aging. There is a Council on Aging for every city and town across Massachusetts, except for one. There's 350 councils on aging, and they are connected to the different cities and towns. So what that means is that we're really responsible for providing a lot of the direct services that older adults would need to access in Boston. So some of the things that we provide are things like information and referral and case management and kind of that benefit access that I was just talking about. We help people with their health insurance. We're a SNAP outreach partner. We help with fuel assistance applications, kind of navigating resources, keeping people connected both to city resources and to aging resources. We also run a couple of senior centers in Boston, and we fund a lot of other events and programs throughout the city. And then we run some large events. So lots of, I think, opportunities and spaces for people to connect across the city. We run the agestrong shuttle that I was mentioning before. So these are free medical rides for people going to medical appointments. We do some grocery shopping trips, some social trips. We do the city's taxi coupon, the discounted taxi coupon program. We also host a host of volunteer programs. So we have about 350 volunteers who are over the age of 55 who are working with us, either serving as AmeriCorps seniors volunteers in the community. They're actually, our volunteers are amazing. I just have to say they're providing just thousands of hours of service in the community to folks. And then we also run, and this is important for right now, because right now people can sign up. We also run the city's property tax work-off program, where you can work off up to $2,000 of your property taxes by volunteering in a city department. Um, so those are a lot of the things that we do as a council on aging. I'll name just one other thing, if we have just another minute. And that is that we play a large grant making role in the city. So we fund about 60 partner organizations who also work with older adults. And we have multiple rounds of funding that we put out every year. We have what's called our Older Americans Act funding, which is funding caregiver services and Meals on Wheels and these fabulous kind of community cafes where you can go for a meal throughout the city. We also put out money through something called our expanding engagement grants. So these are grants that are really promoting social connection for older people. We have a round of funding we put out that is focused on making sure there's increased access to clinical support for people with behavioral health issues and folks that need kind of mental health and wellness support. And then finally, in this last year, we started these small rolling grants where there are 5 opportunities to apply during this year for just a little bit of money. Say you live in a housing building, or you're a member of a local group and you want to host a party or go on a trip or do something or hire an instructor for an art class or something like that. You can apply for these small rolling grants through our office. So we really think of those partners as an extension of what we do, and are so glad to have more people that are focused on making sure our older population is doing well in our city.
Wow, that is a lot that you do. It's almost too much to even keep track of. So I understand what you mean about staff helping seniors figure out like what they need and then what resources the city may have to help them get that done. And I can attest personally to the property tax write-off volunteers because we take one every year in our office, and they always do great work.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, they're amazing. We always look forward to having them in our office. So can you talk also about Boston's Area Agency on Aging, triple A's? I've heard your office described as that. And what does that entail?
Sure. I think, and I'll touch a little bit on our age and dementia friendly program as well, because I think they're really aligned in a lot of ways. So we do have this federal designation as a AAA. And there are AAAs all across the country. And what that means is that we are responsible for doing a regular needs assessment for people over 60 in Boston, for creating a plan for people so that folks can age well in our city, and then for implementing that plan and doing kind of reporting back to the state and federal government about it. So that's a piece of the AAA work. The Older Americans Act funds that I mentioned that we put out into the community, those are come to us because we're an area agency on aging, and so we're responsible. Like Older Americans Act is federal funding. It's this big, like obviously we live in a big country. The spirit of the funds is that they're really locally driven. And so that's why we do this local needs assessment. And then we use that money to fund programs that meet our local needs. And so that way it can be a national program, but it still has that kind of local spirit behind it. Our age and dementia friendly work is similar to that in that we know that we need to think very broadly about how people live and age in community. And we need to, so kind of similar to our needs assessment and our planning work, our age and dementia friendly work is really about how do we work across city departments with folks like you, with folks like parks, with folks like transportation and the mayor's office of housing. How do we work with all different city departments to make sure that people can get around our city in a good way, that people can live in our city, and that people can have things to do in our city where they feel respected, where they feel seen, where they feel included, and where they're getting all of the information that they need. So that's our age and dementia friendly work.
Yeah, that's great. And I know our office has collaborated on your needs assessment, and we've also worked with you on Age Friendly, which works to implement best practices in design and
Yes.
in the community. And I know you did a restaurant training to make businesses rather age friendly. So we really appreciate all your collaboration to make sure that people of all ages and abilities are able to get around Boston.
Yeah, thank you for that. I will say we have over 100 businesses now trained as age and dementia friendly businesses, which is very exciting.
Yeah, another thing I love that your office did was put together a map of bathrooms, public bathrooms across the city, because we know older adults and really anybody,
Yes.
when they need to find a restroom, it can be challenging. So if you visit the agestrong website, you can look at this map, and then anywhere you are out in Boston, you'll be able to find a public restroom. Um, okay, a few more questions I had. What are some of the most common challenges that older adults call you about that you try to help with?
I think I'm going to go back to something I said before, but I think really that access to information. I think that there's so much out there that can help people. And I think that often folks don't even know where to look for the information. And so we do get a lot of calls about people that say, I have this issue, but I really just don't know how to navigate it. So that's why I think our advocacy and benefit specialists are so important here at Age Strong because they're able to really to help people to kind of understand what the issue is and help them to navigate that. I also think that we get a lot of calls for people that just want something to do. Sometimes as you get older, it it you may not have the same like kind of workplace connections, right? If you've retired, and so you're I think sometimes trying to navigate how do I stay connected, how do I stay engaged, how do I make sure that I am living a life of purpose and a life of connection. And so I think a lot of our programs are really designed to help people continue to build on those things.
Yeah, I know how important that is. And I know earlier you mentioned some events that you run. You're really not doing yourself justice when you say you run some events. I mean, you run major events with hundreds and hundreds of seniors. Do you want to highlight one or two that are some of your favorite events every year?
Oh my gosh. We have so many of them. So I know coming up in June, um, we're going to have an LGBT senior event that we do, an LGBT Pride event that we do in collaboration with our partners Ethos. But I think the thing that I'd like to highlight is that we're working to get some regular programming going up in a number of our neighborhoods. And so we're out there now at Union Church in the South End. We've added an extra day to Ethos's programming over at the Elks in West Roxbury. We are running programming 2 days a week at the DeWitt Center in Roxbury. We are at the Codman Square Library in the Holland in Dorchester. So really trying to make sure that wherever you're living in the city, that there's something near you that you can get connected to. I think spontaneous celebrations over in Jamaica Plain. So lots of exciting things going on across the city. And I really hope that people reach out to us. They can just give us a call at Age Strong and we'll help them get connected to what's going on near them.
Yeah, I know a lot of older residents may not be online, but I'm sure, in this day and age, probably a lot of them are. So you can always call Age Strong, or you can email them or check out their website. Just one other question before we get to the end. How many older adults are there in Boston? I know you said the society's aging, but how many people do you serve?
Sure, that is a good question. So, we serve a lot of people, but I will say our older population is growing rapidly. Um, with our oldest baby boomers in this year in 2026 just turning 80 years old. And so we now, if you're talking about people over the age of 60, which is the figure I have, we have over 130,000 older people in the city. And so that's just in a 25-year period of time, our older population grew by 61%. And we're going to continue going up until at least 2050. So it's one of the biggest demographic changes that Boston has faced over the course of time, which makes a lot of sense, right? The baby boomers have changed kind of every institution they've been through their whole lives. So it's exciting to have so much growth and so much energy and so many people really contributing to making Boston what it is.
Yeah, and we know that everybody who may have a disability doesn't always identify as disabled or as a person with a disability. So that's why we have such a strong collaboration, because even though people may not identify as, they may not say, oh, I'm a person with disability, they're still entitled to all the benefits and all the services that we can provide. And also, we try to do a lot of work behind the scenes, my office, to just make sure that society is accessible and that Boston's programs are accessible and our services, and of course the infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, curb ramps, things like that. So I really enjoy working with you, Commissioner Shea, and hopefully we'll be working together for a long time to come. And just on the final note, I will say that I guess the messaging is any older adults in Boston who may need support with like economic information, information on bills and heating, or who are looking to be connected to the community, or who are looking for meaningful tasks to do, like volunteering and participating in city meetings, things like that, should call or email Age Strong.
Yes, please. We would love that. And I love what you said. You're right. Not everyone identifies as having a disability, but as many people age, they might not hear as well, not see as well, have a little more trouble ambulating. And that's why I think our collaboration is just so important. We very much appreciate you and your team, and thank you for having me on today.
Great. Thank you so much, Commissioner Shea. So that wraps up our interview for this month's episode, but stay tuned for our next segment, because Sylvie is going to talk about how to actually get involved with Age Strong, some ways that you can get involved.
Thank you, Commissioner. Hi, I'm Sylvie, the Disability Commission's Accessibility and Inclusion Training Specialist. I'm a white woman in my 30s with glasses, wearing a white shirt and a blue blazer. Welcome to this episode of In the Know, where we'll be talking about Age Strong Advocate Services. If you're a Boston resident age 55 or older, there are free programs and benefits available to help you stay active, connected, and supported in your community. Just like we heard about in this episode, agestrong has a ton of resources and programs. You might not know what you're eligible for or how to even navigate these services. Well, the agestrong Commission offers one-on-one help through a program called agestrong advocates. These are people that can talk with you about the benefits and services that you're eligible for, things like transportation, nutrition programs, and more. To schedule an appointment, call 617-635-4366. You can also explore dozens of free programs for older adults across Boston, including fitness classes, arts activities, social groups, and educational workshops. To see what's available, visit boston.gov/agestrong programming. Once you're on the page, you'll find a list of programs happening across the city. You can scroll through upcoming activities, read brief descriptions, and find details about locations, dates, and how to participate. Many programs are free and open to Boston residents age 55 and older. So again, to speak with an agestrong advocate, call 617-635-4366 or visit boston.gov/agestrong programming to learn more.
Thank you, Sylvie, for keeping Boston's Disabilities Commission in the know. That is the end of today's episode of Disability Access in Action. Please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can be the first to catch future episodes. Also, we have a weekly newsletter, and we'd love you to subscribe. To do so, please visit boston.gov/disability. And as always, if you have questions, concerns, or ideas about disability access and inclusion in the city of Boston, feel free to email us at disability@boston.gov or call us at 617-635-3682. Thank you for watching. Until next time.